The sun was slipping behind the jagged ridge of the western mountains when 12-year-old Lena Harper felt the rope tighten again around her wrists, burning her skin as the van rattled over a dirt road that barely deserved to be called a road at all. Hours ago, though it felt like days, she had been walking home from school, kicking small stones along the footpath, humming the song her mom always played when cooking dinner. She never imagined the truck would screech up behind her, that a man with a scar across his cheek would leap out, grab her and drag her inside before she could scream. Now the inside of the van smelled of gasoline and sweat. The scarred man, Vic Crowder, kept glancing at her in the rearview mirror, a twisted smile creeping up every few minutes as though he enjoyed the fear in her eyes. Lena pressed herself against the cold wall of the van, praying silently, wondering if anyone was looking for her, if her mother had already called the police, if her father was already speeding down highways shouting her name. But deep down she feared the truth, that out here, lost in the desert outskirts, even the police wouldn't find her in time. As the van bounced violently over a sharp rock, Lena's knees smashed into the metal floor. Tears filled her eyes, but she refused to cry in front of her kidnapper. She knew crying wouldn't save her. Thinking might, watching might, and that's when she saw it, the tiny crack in the rear panel of the van door, no wider than her finger, letting in a narrow ribbon of fading golden light. If she could push something out of that crack, anything, maybe someone would see. But her pockets were empty. Her shoes were tied tight. There was nothing she could drop. No phone, no jewelry, no clue, except her hair clip, a small silver butterfly her dad had given her on her 10th birthday. Lena twisted her head, trying to reach it. She jerked her neck forward and back, twisting her hair painfully until the clip loosened and dropped into her bound hands. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Please let someone see this," and then, using every bit of strength she had, she pinched the clip between her fingers and shoved it through the crack just as the van sped past a rusted road sign. The clip flew out and vanished into the dust. Miles ahead on the open highway, a group of 4 bikers thundered forward, engines roaring, leather jackets whipping in the wind, their club emblem, Iron Hawks, gleaming on their backs. Leading the pack was Jax Dalton, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a beard rough, enough to sand wood and eyes sharp, enough to make grown men rethink their life choices. Behind him rode Rebel, Tank, and Ghost, each hardened by life, but all loyal like brothers. They weren't angels, not even close, but they had rules. And the biggest one was simple. You don't hurt kids, ever. As they cruised around a bend, Tank suddenly braked hard, his tire skidding across gravel. "Hey, something on the road," he shouted. The others circled back. There, glinting in the fading sunlight, lay Lena's small butterfly hair clip. Jax picked it up, turning it over in his hand. "A little girl's clip," he muttered. "Out here?" Ghost scanned the empty road. Could have blown out of a car window. But Jack shook his head. Something about the way it sat in the dirt, half embedded as if thrown with force, hit him wrong. "This wasn't dropped," he said. "It was sent." At that moment, the van appeared in the distance, speeding down the opposite stretch of road, kicking up clouds of dust. Jax's eyes narrowed. "Brothers," he growled. "We're following that van." And with a roar of 4 engines, the bikers shot forward like iron arrows. Inside the van, Lena suddenly felt the shift, like fate itself had turned its head. Vic cursed as he spotted the bikers in the mirror. Damn bikers, always sticking their noses where they don't belong. He pressed harder on the gas, the van shuddering under the strain. Lena's heart raced. Maybe they saw. A flicker of hope lit in her chest. Jax, leaning low over the handlebars, assessed the situation with military precision. The van was old but fast. Whoever was inside was scared or guilty. Either way, it wasn't running for no reason. "Rebel, flank right! Tank, left! Ghost, stay behind me!" The formation tightened. They approached the van like wolves closing in on a wounded animal. Vic swerved viciously, trying to knock Tank off the road. But Tank was built like a brick wall and reacted like lightning, kicking his bike away from the hit. "This guy's hiding something," he shouted. Inside, Lena braced herself as the van swerved. She saw the bikers. She saw their jackets. She saw the determination in their eyes. She didn't know who they were, but they were the first humans she'd seen since being snatched. And when Rebel pulled up close enough that she could see her own reflection in his helmet, Lena mustered all her strength and slammed her body against the door. Thud, thud, again and again. Rebel's eyes widened behind the visor. "Jax, there's someone in the back." Jax sped ahead, pulling level with the driver's window. Vic snarled, pulling a gun from the passenger seat. But Jax was faster. He whipped his chain from his belt and lashed it through the open window, striking Vic's wrist. The gun clattered to the floor. Everything exploded into chaos. The van fishtailed, tires screaming. Ghost and Tank boxed it in from behind, forcing Vic to slow just enough for Rebel to jump from his bike onto the rear bumper, hanging on with one arm as the van zigzagged wildly. Lena stared at him through the small crack. Rebel saw her eye, wide and terrified. "Hang on, kid," he yelled. Using his boot, he smashed at the handle of the back door. Again and again until the metal bent. The latch snapped. The door flew open violently, just as the van hit a pothole, sending Rebel tumbling backward into the dirt. But in that split second, Jax made the call. "Ghost, cut him off!" Ghost swerved in front of the van, forcing Vic to slam the brakes. The van skidded sideways, flipped twice, and landed on its side with a deafening crash. Dust settled slowly over the wreck. The bikers coughed, stumbling toward it. Rebel limped toward the open rear door. "Kid, you okay?" And then Lena crawled out, shaking, filthy, but alive. She looked up at the four leather-jacketed men towering over her like guardians carved from steel. You came," she whispered. Jax crouched beside her, voice softer than his rough exterior suggested. "You called for help, so we answered." And for the first time since her nightmare began, Lena broke down and cried, not from fear but from relief.